Namaskar, myself Deepak Rath. I welcome you to the digital media of Uday India. Friends, today I want to tell you how the Hindu Rashtra constitution, recently there has been a lot of discussion, you all know, about changing the Indian constitution to reflect the nation's new name, and the guidelines have been established. Proponents have cited how archaic several provisions of the current constitution seem, and criticizing the constitution, according to opponents, is disrespectful to the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the chairman of the drafting committee. And they object because they believe that by removing the protections for minorities and equal citizenship, that Ambedkar and his fellow constitutional draftsmen had meticulously integrated a bigger scheme to construct a constitutional Hindu Rashtra will be established. And in fact, do you know that a constitution of the Hindustan Free State CHFS, which was a hypothetical drafted constitution, was adopted by the All India Hindu Mahasabha in 1944. Vinayak Damodar Savarkar served as the leader of the Hindu Mahasabha, if you remember. And this is the only documented instance of a party that identifies itself as Hindu party, outlining its own constitutional beliefs in detail. It was written by 4 persons and they are very prominent. As you know, D.V. Gokhale, Lakshman Bhopatkar, K.V. Kelkar and M.R. Dharmadhare, with a foreword by N.C. Kelkar. Vinayak Damodar Savarkar gave a speech outlining his thoughts on the future constitution of India at the Hindu Mahasabha section in Kolkata in 1939, which served as a direct inspiration for the concepts in this constitution. Now, everyone starts assuming that since the constitution is based on the idea of Savarkar, then it must be advocating Hindu Rashtra and exclusion of Muslims and India not being a secular test and many other things, but this is not true in reality. The CHFS had 111 articles, which was a far less number than the final Indian constitution. Similar to the constitution, it claimed to speak for the people and received its legitimacy from them. And this draft, however, gave direct democracy much more of a chance than our constitution does. Friends, in India, democracy, in the opinion of the CHFS drafters, had advanced to the point where people had a right to direct voice in respect of their social and economic well-being and political destiny. Therefore, it provided for initiative. Initiative was a novel concept that would have allowed citizens to directly propose new laws or constitutional amendments. Legislation would have to be proposed by a certain percentage of voters, and the entire adult population would then vote on it in a referendum. What is referendum? According to them, the full adult population may vote yes or no on the proposed legislation or other key laws in a referendum, and this might occur if procedure was started by a certain percentage of voters or representatives. Recall, arguably the most important amendment, the recall provision, allowed citizens to remove their elected officials before the end of their term. People today debate whether India is called Bharat or not, but the CHFS creators didn't spend much time discussing on this subject. There was absolutely no warrant in the past history of this country for styling it as India in their eyes, and India was a meaningless term despite numerous uses of the term in Sanskrit and other Indian languages. The current replacement Bharat was never mentioned. This is point to ponder. Despite having its roots in Vishnu Purana, Savarkar believed that Bharatvarsha suppressed the term or cradle name Sindhus or Hindus. As a result, there were no opposing opinions and Hindustan was chosen for the constitution. Friends, the resounding affirmation of India's secular nature in this constitutional framework was perhaps its most expected feature. And according to Article 7XB of the CHFS, there will be no official religion in Hindustan Free State. A constitutional Hindu Rashtra was clearly out of the question. Every citizen was granted the freedom to practice and profess their own religion, to preserve their own culture and language under Article 7XI. The nation's homogeneity was not required by Constitution. Equal citizenship and equal civic rights were also guaranteed by Article 6 and 7I and II. There is no legal distinction between Muslims and Hindus. This shows that CHF's priorities inclusively above dogma. Hindustan would be a nation where everyone, regardless of their religion affiliation, could call home. The Constitution could represent this mindlessness without being constrained by polarization or parochialism, was the belief on which CHPS wanted to work on. People often claim that Hindu Rashtra or the idea of Hindu Rashtra is dangerous for India, but there is no truth in it, as I explained you now. India has ingrained democratic values due to Hinduism today. Because of Hinduism only, everybody must realize this is the real fact. The sanctity remains there in our society now because of Hinduism. As I told you that CHFS exemplifies the same. There are many things more in the document, but we dwelt only on this particular subject to specifically explain why it was required, and rest is history. You know what happened after that and how people gave a different color to the thing that I discussed. Friends, I again request you to stay tuned with Uday India. Bharat Mata ki Jai.